season-ending Achilles tear.
But this is the largest tax bill in NBA history.
History.
How do you not know that a player wants to go in a sign and trade to a specific spot?
The NBA free agency, it begins tomorrow, and Gordon Hayward will be available.
It's going to be the 4th of July tomorrow because it's going to be fireworks.
Welcome to the Jump Free Agency Special, presented by Kia.
Welcome to the Jump indeed. I am Rachel Nichols. I am alongside a pair of future Hall of Famers, Paul Pierce and Vince Carter. We are here for the next 3 hours to get you ready for the start of free agency at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific. Now, because of the pandemic, we have our insiders scattered all around the country, and we can't have the pyrotechnics we're accustomed to, but have no fear. I came up with a plan B to terrorize everyone, even though they're in points far east and west. Whenever news breaks, I'm going to hold up this, and you will hear the siren indicating we have, oh yes, it's still kind of election season, a key player alert. Shout out to our crew out here in Los Angeles for that one. We're expecting a lot of action today when free agency starts, but the biggest story in the league starting at 6 o'clock Eastern is the fact that the reigning two-time MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo, is eligible to sign a supermax with the Bucks. He could sign up to a projected $228 million deal to stay in Milwaukee for the 5 years after this one. Now, for the latest on all things free agency, I now welcome in our ESPN senior insider, the man with the most watched Twitter account in the universe today, Adrian Wojnarowski. Woj, what are your expectations for this free agency? Because it's pretty different from last year.
It's a lot different from last year. Number one, it doesn't have the star power of last season. There's a lot less of an expectation that the big players here are going to do anything but either re-sign and stay where they are. You're going to see more extensions of some rookie extensions on some young stars in the league, and but there will be player movement, and I think you'll continue to see some trades in this window of time too.
For sure. Look, it's been one of the craziest off-season weeks we've seen in a long time because of the condensed schedule. And the defending champions have a key player where there's not a ton of mystery about whether he'll stay with the team or not. But where and when and how is all up for grabs. So Anthony Davis, eligible to sign that extension. What is the latest with the negotiations between him and the defending champion LA Lakers?
Well, there's not going to be a rush. There's not going to be a quick Anthony Davis agreement, I'm told. At least probably not until well into next week, I was told, past Thanksgiving. Davis,
wow.
Listen, he's returning to the Lakers. It's going to be a question of what the deal looks like. He's got a few different options in terms of the structure, how long he's going to go. He can do like a 2+1, 3-year deal with an option after 2. That lines him up with LeBron James. They could be on the same be on the same trajectory at that point. So that's what he's going to talk to the Lakers about, he and Rich Paul, his agent, into the next week. I know Rich Paul will talk to Rob Pelinka tonight. He's got KCP, who's also a free agent there. But you saw LeBron James do this in Cleveland when he was on those 1-year deals, and you knew he was going back. Some of them extended several weeks, a few weeks. I don't know if ADs will go that long, right. But there's just going to be a window of time here before he decides or firmly commits to whatever contract structure they finally land on.
The other big sort of idea we're going to be talking about today and looking for is how these free agents or moves or trades are going to fit in with teams that they don't know what they're getting this coming year in terms of fans in the stands, revenue coming in. There's question marks about how much room there is available. Not a lot of teams have huge, gallons of cap space the way we've seen in some other years. How is that going to affect guys like Fred VanVleet or Serge Ibaka, who aren't those big, huge names like Kawhi Leonard last year, but who have won rings and could be a key ingredient to add to a championship mix on another team?
I think Fred VanVleet is very likely to return to Toronto. Maybe it hurts him in his negotiations as to what number he can get to with the Raptors on his extension versus if there were a lot of teams with cap space and he had a lot of, maybe some more viable options out there. But I think VanVleet returns to Toronto. But I think two of Toronto's free agents Serge Ibaka, Marcus Gasol, very much up in the air where they play. Those are two players who a lot of teams around the league want to talk to here in the next couple days. And I think Toronto would like to keep as much of the group together as they can. And so, those will be some interesting questions. But I think you look around the league and you see players like, Joe Harris. I think Brooklyn will move here in the next couple days to try to get Harris locked up. And some players, who are key components to teams. Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, both extension eligible. Those are very likely extensions, that they'll get done here, I think, sometime in the next few days.
Yeah, well, we know that a lot of these moves set up the moves that create a trade to get a big-name player in a week or two. So we're going to be watching all of them for sure. Woj, I know how busy you are right now. Thank you so much for taking a minute out. We will say goodbye, but please come back if news breaks. We'll look for you through the rest of the show. Thank you so much. All right, back to our guys. I want to bring back in Paul. So we know Giannis will be able to sign that Supermax extension, Paul Pierce, but my question is, should he? Would you, if it was you?
If I'm Giannis, $230 million is going to be pretty hard to turn down. I mean, he's still young. And then you're with a franchise who has shown the commitment to try at least get better. I mean, I know they had a trade that went through. They got Drew Holiday. They didn't get Bogdanovich. But it just shows you that they're trying to get better at all costs. And if I had this on the table, there's no way I wouldn't take this. Look at that, $228.
What about you, Vince Carter?
He's right. He's in the position. I mean, that's a lot of money, man. Like, point blank. But and I know he wants to win. And I think Milwaukee is showing that they're trying to do everything they can to bring in stars and some pieces to strengthen their team. I think Drew Holiday is a great asset and a great piece to him. Two-way player, tough guy. And I know things fell through with Bogey Bogdanovich, but this is a great start in the right direction to lure him back.
Well, Amin Elhassan popping in with us as well right now. And look, I have never been in the position of having to accept or turn down $230 million. So I can't say for sure what I would do. But considering he could get the exact same amount of money next year, next offseason, considering that we have seen even players, if they get a significant injury like Kevin Durant tearing his Achilles and Brooklyn signing him to that max deal anyway, right out of the gate, knowing that he couldn't play for them for a year. So knowing that kind of situation, that insurance is out there if you get hurt, why would you sign this deal? Is that security, just you take it while you got it?
Yeah, I think you talk about the security. Again, it's one thing to say Durant got the money anyway, but we also know that Durant's game is injury-proof in the sense that his height, his length, his shooting can allow him to kind of overcome an Achilles injury in a way that Giannis could not, because his game is so heavily based on athleticism and explosion. But I'm with you, Rachel. If the money's the same from the Bucks now or next summer, why not wait till next summer and then give yourself real options? And the thing is, when you throw up that graphic of what he could get from other teams versus what he could get with the Bucks, it fails to recognize that he probably wouldn't sign a 4-year deal. He'd probably sign a 2+1, opt out when he hits the 10-year mark, and then sign a new deal then with a higher slice of a bigger pie. And that's the big thing there, is that it's not quite 145 versus 230 or 228. It's a little bit more than that that he could get otherwise. And so you want to see if what the Bucks have done are these moves cosmetic? Are they moves that are going to move the needle, or are they just names that we got in here and we end up not being that much better than what we were before?
Let me tell y'all something.
Well, Paul, what do you think of this
listen
lineup?
to this. No, listen. We're in an era right now. If you asked all the players in the league, would you rather have $230 million or a championship ring? I bet you 99% of them would say $230 million.
Really?
Take the money, secure the bag.
Elite players.
That's the
top
era.
10 players.
It don't matter. Every player in the league. Every player in the league. You ask them right now. The money is so great now.
Especially at that number 230.
It's too
You're not
great
talking
right
about
now.
75
Let's just be
million.
honest. The number has gotten too great. You know, when me and Vince played, our max was like 70, 80, which was a great number. But 230, come on, man. Give me 230, and y'all can have that.
But Paul, if the money's waiting for you either way, what's the rush?
Like you said, his game is not injury proof. He breaks a leg, tears an Achilles. His game might not recover because he don't have the skill set that Durant has. Come on, we all know that. Just the honest truth right there. Y'all wanted it, you got it.
Well, look, I'm operating in a world where, again, you talk to me or Amin, whose max salary never hit $70 million, Paul Pierce, just saying. $230 million is an insane number, but I'm also living in a world where I just saw James Harden turn down a 2-year, $103 million extension. So I'm seeing guys, because, you know, James basically has made about $300 million by the time this current contract he's on is going to be over, and saying, okay, I care a little bit more about winning. Anthony Davis had the chance to make more money with the Pelicans and still asked out to go to L.A. because he said, look, I do have a lot of money already in career earnings. I care more about winning. So it's not unprecedented, but I will say that the Achilles injury or something like that, the threat of that is real because we're seeing so many of these to key players. It's not just Kevin Durant. We learned yesterday, guys, about Klay Thompson, right? Go ahead.
I will add to this, to that part. What Paul is what he's saying is at the end, especially if you're a guy who's injury prone and you've had some injury that has put you out of contentions or just opportunities to win. Sometimes the best route is going to get that money. Our sport is guaranteed. So when you have that money locked up, you have it locked up. So, you know, what it means saying and what Paul is saying, they're both saying great things, but it's like if you're a guy that's been injury prone, you don't want to take that chance at that number.
Not that number.
Not that number.
Well, that's certainly true. And by the way,
Paul, like
even if you're not a guy,
baby.
230? Nah, not that number. Not on duty.
I mean, I guess we better listen to the millionaires. I was going to say, even if you're not a guy who's injury prone, you have to think about it. Klay Thompson, of course, tearing his Achilles. You have to remember, he was the Warriors' Iron Man, right?
Yeah.
Leading up to that injury, that ACL, and now he's got a series of injuries. We're going to talk more about Klay Thompson right after this break. We're also going to talk about